Edika, Inabeka, Miaro, Miara, Endo, Miaro, Miara, Ejumeidie, Inabeye, Miaro, Miara, Endo, Miaro, Miara, Obredibo, Inabebo, Miaro, Miara, Endo, Miaro, Miara, Asemi, Besini, Fema, Miara, Asemi, Miara,
Good morning. I bring you warm greetings from my boss, Madam Chief of Staff, and by extension, the President of the Republic, under whom I serve. And by extension, Madam Chief of Staff, under whom I serve. This interactive section, Facebook Live, is one of the means that the Secretariat is trying to reach out to the public. Today, I'm here to do this exercise with my colleagues. On my immediate left is Mr. Richard Edu, the Chief Accountant at the Secretariat. On my right is Mr. Joseph Esa, the Deputy Director in charge of Administration. Next to him is Mr. Seto Adanovo, the National Coordinator of the all-important National Decentralization Project. And next to the Chief Accountant is our beautiful Protocol Officer, Grace Aferimensa. Yeah, we are here to bring to light or inform you about the various things that the Secretariat has gone through in terms of policy guidelines, and to get more interactive with you, to have the opportunity to answer your queries if there are any. This is a feedback exercise to allow us to serve you better. So we'll run you through what the mandate of the Secretariat is, what we have done so far. That is where we were, where we are now, and where we want to get to. The Secretariat was set up in 1960 under the Office of the President. The Ghana Scholar Secretariat is mandated to handle and award government scholarships for the human resource development and growth of Ghana. These scholarships are not only meant for brilliant but needy students, but also for any qualified Ghanaian who merits it. We are set out to become a world-class awarding institutions using the best practices to deliver services to the satisfaction of our stakeholders. The Scholarship Secretariat has, over the past 3 years, transformed itself into one of the most effective state agencies. Our functions include, but not limited to, the following: to offer bursaries and support for postgraduate training, both locally and abroad, and locally for public tertiary institutions, to strengthen the human resource capacity and provide a conducive working environment for the Secretariat. Again, we are set out to increase equitable access and participation in quality education at all levels. I mean, what was the turning point? Walking into the premises of the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat, I remember very well, somewhere around August 2017, one will be met with a setting that did not meet the standard of a state agency. Staff worked from a very humane environment with just one single design patrol, I remember very well, which they used to carry out the entire services of the Secretariat. As if that was not enough, the over 33 staff of the office had to make do with just 3 computers and 2 printers, which adversely affected the work of the Secretariat. This meant that about 98% of the work of the Secretariat was purely manual. Moreover, the female staff had to trek for minutes in order to get a place of convenience for themselves. It even got worse when it was the time of the month. For them to be able to clean up properly was a great challenge. This culminated in a lot of, diseases that women usually get when they don't have a very good working environment to work with. Regrettably, it was very shocking to learn that in this modern era of information communication technology, a very strategic national asset like the Scholarship Secretariat did not have an active website. As of now, the Secretariat has upgraded and have a very interactive website which can easily be accessed by all persons for information with regards to the activities of scholarship openings and other things that the Secretariat is engaged with. Eager to turn things around, the new administration led by myself immediately provided a salubrious working environment for the staff to improve efficiency of work. Knowing how important the office is, the new administration quickly procured 5 cross-country vehicles and a saloon car to aid the work of the Secretariat, which has yielded positive results. And let me take this opportunity to thank the Church of Pentecost. Having seen the good work that we've been doing all this while, last year donated to us 1 vehicle, 1 cross-country Mitsubishi vehicle. Staff motivation. Aware that a motivated staff can go a long way to impact on the work of the Secretariat, a number of measures were put in place in order to train the staff, including sponsorship packages for them to further their education or training both locally and abroad. Again, not oblivious of the fact that people drive value. Staff motivation was shored up to the extent that those who had voluntarily put themselves up to be transferred or posted out of the Secretariat rescinded their decision immediately and placed their foot on the wheels of progress to make the Secretariat live up to its mandate. And on this note, I wish to thank management and staff for the hard work that they've put in for this past 3 years to make the place come to life. For us to even be having this live interaction with you bears ample testimony to how accessible and how vibrant the Secretariat is now. Again, one of the things that we were faced with was clearing of arrears. The daunting task that faced my administration was to clear the over 230 million revolving liability debt inherited from the previous administration. I've tried very much to restrain myself not to compare with the previous administration, but to be able to do a good analysis, there has to be some form of comparison. Forgive me if I had to compare, but we have to, in order to set the record straight, so that we can be able to know what has been done so far. We inherited the debt of a revolving liability. When we say a revolving liability, you know the scholarship debt is a revolving liability. It means that we have to take care of the previous arrears, new arrears, and also make a provision for future liabilities. So we were faced with 230 million revolving liability inherited from the previous administration, which resulted in Ghana being blacklisted from a number of foreign universities. For those who applied for scholarships previously to school under the non-bilateral scholarship award, you realize that most schools in the UK, for instance, blacklisted Ghana. They were not accepting Ghana, or for that matter, the Scholarship Secretariat award letters, because students obviously were abandoned. With the belief that the proof of the pudding is always in the eating, the new management set out to work assiduously in order to bring back the confidence that people had in the Secretariat and to ensure that it sets out to execute its mandate irrespective of the background, geographical location, or political affiliation of Ghanaians. End to student unrest. Times passed. There was no day without news of students picketing at Ghana missions, the various Ghana missions abroad, for delay in their stipend payment and fees. And locally, public second cycle institutions in the then 3 northern regions, Northern Volta and Northern Brongahafo, could go a whole year and more without a payment of their feeding grant. Not only was this embarrassing to the government, but exposed the students to all sorts of ridicule and the temptation to engage in social vices to make ends meet. And I know that from 2017, if our viewers will bear ample testimony to this, we don't hear students picketing, students unrest, which was through no fault of theirs, I remember vividly in 2017 when I entered the office as the registrar of the secretariat. Students from Cuba, students from Russia, students from China, students from Morocco, students from Algeria, all of them had their stipends non-paid for a year and more. Through hard work, Ghanaian scholarship beneficiaries abroad have seen the difference and periodically now write to eulogize the President of the Republic for the timely payment of their stipends and other scholarship commitments. Non-bilateral scholarships. Basically, there are two main types of scholarships that we underwrite at the Secretariat. We have the bilateral and the non-bilateral. The bilateral is the state-to-state scholarships that usually comes from sovereign states who have cultural and educational exchange programs with Ghana. And we have the non-bilateral ones. The non-bilateral ones are basically the MOUs or various agreements that the Secretariat has reached with partner universities. So we are now on the non-bilateral scholarship. There was virtually no non-bilateral scholarships at the Secretariat as of 2017. The new management has signed MOUs with foreign universities with a focus on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, that's STEM-related programs. It can be recorded that in 2018 alone, 66% of the scholarship awarded were STEM-related subject areas. The remaining 34% was scholarships awarded to non-STEM related programs. The number of postgraduate beneficiaries in STEM-related awards for the 2018 was 70%, while 30% was for the undergraduate studies. As of December 31st, 2019, 70% of all non-bilateral awards were STEM-related scholarship awards, leaving 30% for non-STEM programs. The total number of postgraduate students for STEM-related programs as of 31st December 2019 was 72%, with 28% being undergraduate level of study. Bilateral agreements. It was realized that the Secretariat did not pursue programs that were inure to the benefit of the country. For instance, we saw that Ghana was sponsoring students or sponsoring Ghanaians to go to Algeria, which is an Arabic and a Francophone country, to study English. I mean, it is absolutely preposterous for anybody to even think that Ghanaians will be sponsored from Ghana, which is purely an English-speaking country, to go to Algeria to study English. It's just like sending somebody who was born or lives in Kumasi to go to Lagos to study Twi. I mean, it was quite unheard of. So there was a review of all bilateral arrangements to reflect the human resource demand of the country with a focus on STEM-related programs. Thesis and bursary grants, and I know the graduate students in Ghana will bear ample testimony to this. They used to be in existence thesis and bursary grants to support postgraduate studies of students or scholars in our public universities. There was a manual systems of things, which meant that there was a lot of duplications, a lot of delays, and students could go a whole year more without their bursaries being paid to them. Set out to rectify this issue, a software was immediately introduced to ensure efficiency and stress-free operations in the disbursement of grants, whilst the problem of tabletop, can you imagine graduates were being paid on tabletop, whilst the tabletop payment was immediately replaced with a bank direct transfers. Because once the software was developed, it came with a banking interface, which meant that as soon as the claims are paid, students at the postgraduate or graduates at the postgraduate level will have direct access to their account. This has ensured that there has never been an academic year where their bursaries was not paid within the academic year. Protecting the public kitty. One mandate of the new administration was to save money in our operations, just as His Excellency the President assured the nation of protecting the public purse. A number of efforts were carried out to ensure that the Secretariat realized that there was no implementation of audit capacity and headcount report. Efforts were immediately put in place to ensure that there was frequent and robust implementation of capacity audit and headcount report, and this saved the Secretariat almost a whopping 20 million Ghana cedis in the 2016, 2017, 2017, 2018, and 2018-2019 academic years for the second cycle scholarships. This was how it used to work. Schools, all people of northern extraction since 1960 have had free high school education. It gradually included students who came from the northern Brongahafo, the northern voter, the northern voter, and all of them had free high school. People will recall, Ghanaians will recall, that a whole year and a half could go, and their monies have not been paid to them. This usually resulted in the school management deciding not to even open schools in the northern region, and there are a lot of reports on this. Again, the new administration renegotiated a government deal which was brokered by the then Vice President of the Republic, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, for the training of Ghanaians, the medical training of Ghanaians in Cuba. Whereas the previous administration, led by His Excellency, the former Vice President, who later became the President of the Republic, he led this negotiation, and Ghana had to dole out a whopping amount of $96,090 per student for 6 years, for 6 years of their tuition, for 6 years of their schooling, both in tuition and accommodation. When we assumed the reins of power last year, we went to Cuba with Excellency, the President of the Republic, and this deal was renegotiated, an amount reduced from $96,090 per student for 6 years in tuitions and accommodations to $55,000 in tuition accommodation. What has changed? It means that leadership or efficiency has shown the way. In 2012, all things being equal, the economics of, you as scholars, my viewers will understand it very well, the economics should be such that over years, the depreciation of the CD, exchange rate fluctuations, one would have expected that the amount should have rather gone up. However, in 2019, when we renegotiated, it reduced from $96,000 to $55,000. Again, a bit of the Cuba explanation. In 8 years, the NDC government was able to send just 250 students to Cuba for medical training. As we speak now, in the 4 years of His Excellency, the President of the Republic, 300 students have been sent to Cuba to study. So 8 years was equal to 250 students with an amount of $96,000 per student. The 4 years of His Excellency, the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, it is 300 students with $55,000 per student. So it means that the transformation is very huge. It's not just the Cuba deal that was, fraught with a lot of unthinkable analysis. Again, we have a product we call the Year Abroad program. The Year Abroad program basically means that for students who study in our public universities for the languages, they have a year that they go out to inculcate themselves into the various languages, the cultures of the people that they study. So one of it is the study of Kiswahili. So they usually go to Tanzania. Again, for this, it used to cost Ghana $4,000 in terms of tuition. It has been renegotiated to cost Ghana just $2,100 per student, a 90% reduction. There are numerous things that has happened at the Secretariat. I wish to reiterate a few. The Farmers Scholarship Scheme. As part of efforts to make sure that scholarship benefits every Ghanaian living everywhere, the President of the Republic, if my viewers will have read their memories to it, during the 2018 Farmers Day celebration in Tamale, I remember very well, at the Aliu Mahama Stadium, announced a package for the award of scholarships to fishermen and farmers. We usually call this line of scholarship as the Presidential Farmers Scholarship Scheme. With the phase 1 of it, which was implemented last year, a whopping amount of 2 million cedis was released by the Ministry of Finance for this assignment. This assignment included that all the national farmers were sent to Morocco for capacity building, and most of them privately struck MOUs with their counterpart. It was so interesting to see that the farmers were able to interact directly with other farmers in Morocco. And for the sake of a bit of clearance, Morocco is one of the leading agricultural countries in Africa, with exporting opportunities to Europe and America. So what it means is that the exposure that these farmers were exposed to, their counterpart in Morocco. Now the Ghanaian farmer at Odan will not just be looking at the Odan market, is now looking at Morocco and the world at large. The scholarship that was given by His Excellency to these farmers, that is called the Presidential Farmers Scholarship, was not just about the farmer. It also included the workers of the farmers and the dependents of the farmers. The bold initiative has been welcomed by farmers and fishermen across the country if they believe that this groundbreaking policy will help them improve on their farming practices. Now, the all-important district scholarship scheme, and seeing the national coordinator here, Mr. Sato Adanuvo, who together with his team has worked. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, for the first time, trying to send scholarships to the district assemblies to ensure that there's increase in transparency, there's increase in accessibility as one of the pillars of the SDG Go For, is something that I'm personally happy and so glad to His Excellency the President. Last year, I remember very well at Fijai, in the Western region, the Secretariat again, going by the saying, put your money where your mouth is, launched the first ever decentralized level scholarship scheme as part of a blueprint towards a free meritorious tertiary education in the country. His Excellency the President of the Republic will go very well in the annals of this country as the education man. Now, a secretariat that had just 2 printers and 3 sets of computers as at 2017 wants to go decentralized. What it meant that every staff in 2018, all staff, the 33 staff, each of them was provided with a computer. There was enough printers to work with. Staff were trained to own the system. So now we're now ready in 2019. I remember in 2018, we even piloted this decentralization at the regional level. That was good. To make it better, in 2019, there was a very huge rollout to all the 260 districts. So the Secretariat liaised with the regional coordinating councils, metropolitans, municipal and district assemblies for the establishment of what we call the district scholarship review committees. The function or the composition of the district scholarship review committee included the DCE himself or herself as the chair of the committee, a representation from tertiary institutions and the Ghana Education Service within the administrative jurisdiction of the district, 2 persons appointed by the scholarship secretariat, and the traditional authority representation. This meant that there was an all-inclusive, political or apolitical affiliation was not part of the whole thing. One of the key functions of the District Scholarship Review Committee was to make or disseminate scholarship information using the district communication channels, which included the mosque, the churches, funeral grounds. The idea was that the person who lives in Salaga, who lives in Ntabia, who lives in Bomponso, who lives at Elubo, should not travel all the way to the Scholarship Secretariat here in Accra in order to access a funding opportunity, which may not even be available. And for the first time, when last year, when this was introduced or were directed by His Excellency the President to do this, 30 million Ghana cedis was disbursed. And this ensured that about 28,000 or more students from the various tertiary institutions, and when we say tertiary institutions, we mean any post-secondary school institution, whether it's a nursing training college, the then teacher training now, college of education, private polytechnic, technical university, all the way from diploma to PhD, whether private or public. About 28,000 students benefited from this policy by His Excellency the President. as part of efforts to, increase efficiency, we collaborated with the Economic and Organized Crime Unit, YOCO. We relied heavily on them for support to retrieve unutilized scholarship bursaries that has gone to various head teachers of the second cycle institutions. And we are happy to report to you that with this exercise, we were able to recoup about 2 million from head teachers for unutilized scholarship benefits that has gone to students in the various second cycle institutions. Labor Bank. In order to address the issue of graduate unemployment, the Scholarship Secretariat, in partnership with the Association of Ghana Industries and the Ghana Investment Promotion Council, in April this year, will launch a skill set database we call Labor Bank. The whole idea is that when a student or a scholar has been sponsored in, let's say, Russia, and there's a Russian company that is coming to invest in Ghana, those scholars who had opportunity to study in Russia will be the first point of call in terms of labor when it comes to the Russian investor who is coming to Ghana. People drive value, and these scholars from the various countries understand the socio-economic dynamics of the countries that they have studied. Therefore, their seamless integration into the orientation program of these investors will be so seamless. Again, it will be very interesting and it will be a very unique selling proposition when, let's say, the GIPC is selling Ghana or promoting Ghana to a country of, let's say, Cuba, Morocco, Saudi Arabia, and is confident to posit to them that we have certain number of Ghanaians who have been trained in your country. I believe that this will go a long way to strengthen relationships. So we're going to set up a skill set database that will be very much promoted to ensure that graduates from the various countries who have had opportunity to school in the various countries, when they come back and there's going to be an investment from those countries, those students will be the first point of call. Government, through the Scholarship Secretariat, is aiming at to get to a point where we can export excess labor to our neighboring countries, and this is one of the main ideas of this whole labor bank issue. Now, MOUs. I alluded to earlier on that Ghana was blacklisted before 2017 for non-payment of various scholarship beneficiaries. Therefore, our award letters were not being heeded to. So, with the confidence that we have now, I wish to announce that, viewers, I will be taking your questions and queries very soon. Bear with me as I do this preamble so that we can set the tone for a very effective interaction. We've signed a number of MOUs. I remember very well, we've sent an MOU with St. George's University of Medical Science, School of Medicine in the Caribbean, in Grenada. And this university alone contributes to about 40% of the GDP of Grenada. It has international affiliations with more than 400 schools abroad. It's not just St. George's. This is for the training of postgraduate training, those who have had opportunity to do biological sciences at the various universities. Now we'll have opportunity, just like we are doing with the Ghana medical schools now. We'll have the opportunity to have a 3 or 4 year postgraduate training to become medical doctors. We've signed an MOU with Hanyang University in South Korea. We've signed an MOU with Koç University in Turkey. Koç University is the biggest private university in Turkey. We focus on sciences. We've signed an MOU with the University of Salamanca in Spain. We've signed an MOU with a university, Progrodian University in Russia. We've signed MOUs with a number of UK universities, the University of the West of England in Bristol, the Brunel University, Coventry University, Aberdeen University specifically for energy. And last year, we dispatched about 50 students, 50 scholars to go and study postgraduate studies in the various fields of energy. Because it is believed, or it is on record, that by 2030, Ghana's oil and gas industry will go up to about $30 billion. So there's a need to train people in that field. We've signed an MOU with Brunel University also in the UK. the purpose of signing these MOUs, one, is to reduce the tuition fees. And we have a packages that ranges between 20 and 50% waiver of tuition. Again, the national accreditation fiat that from 2022, if a lecturer or a teacher at a university does not show progression of academic progression in the pursuit of a PhD program, that person cannot hold himself or herself up as a lecturer. This was a law that came up by the previous administration. Unfortunately, in terms of faculty member development, enough was not made to make sure that this strategic fit was attained. Therefore, we are committed to ensuring that we send more students out to do their PhD in order to fulfill the basic requirement of the national accreditation law. Other than that, it will get to a point very soon where we will not have lecturers who will be eligible to teach at the various universities of the country. Most especially now that all polytechnics, most polytechnics have been turned into technical universities. All training colleges are now degree awarding institutions. There is the need to help Ghanaians study for their PhDs in order to come and fill the gap that this law has created. Support for technical education. Over the years, NVTI, COTVET, and other technical and vocational education outlets have seriously been challenged in terms of resources. I remember last 2 years, we had to present a check of 500,000 to the National Vocational Training Institute to help the youth acquire hand-on skill. This amount was used in the procurement of tools of trade, various tools of trade to help them grow. That was in 2018. In 2019, too, another 500,000 cedis was also given to NVTI to support technical and vocational education. This year, under the able direction of His Excellency the President, and let me pay a glowing tribute to the Minister of Education, Honorable Matthew Opoku Prempeh. This is your baby. When it comes to TVET, he set up a whole deputy minister in charge of TVET in order to make sure that there's a synchronization of the activities of the various agencies. For this year, an amount of $2 million has been earmarked for technical and vocational institutions. And I know from next month, 200 Ghanaians who are already in the technical and vocational institutions will be going to India for a 2 to 3 month hands-on practical attachment in the various fields that they are already in. So this is a very good news to all TVET scholars or TVET artisans or TVET practitioners. I mean, the essence of having a very good TVET for a middle-income economy like ours cannot be overemphasized. Because in the day, right from when you wake up from your bed to get to your workplace and retire to bed, you are involved in so much TVET activities. Your car breaks down in the middle of the road. Do you have that person who is good enough to fix it? You have invested so much in your house. Do you have a very competent person who can do electrical work for you so that your house is not bent? You intend eating from the roadside. Do you have a very good person, and this day be a vast day, you have a person who can do a very good loving cake for your loving people? All these are TVET activities. The Secretariat has reduced, has had a lot of endorsements from various sectors. I mean, one institution or one arm of government that has lauded us, and I always share with my colleagues, is the Parliament. Parliament, or our legislators, including the MP for Nsawam Adwajiri, on the floor of Parliament, Honorable Frank Anodom Pre lauded the decentralization of scholarships, because he said it has been his dream ever since he got to Parliament that a person at Mensa Krom in his constituency, a person at Bodi, a person at Salaga, a person at Mumbrugu Yoyo, a person at Ntabia should be able to have access to scholarship without the need to travel all the way from Mompugu Yoyo to Accra? What if the person gets here and there are no funding opportunities? I remember the early days when I took office. I get to the office around 6:30, and you see people brushing their teeth on our premises. What it meant that they had to travel all the way with the night bus and go to Achimota around 3 a.m., 4 a.m., made their way to the secretariat, so they were now cleaning up. It's excellent the president last year again directed that, with what I alluded to earlier on, the need for postgraduate studies, that is PhD or doctoral studies. His Excellency the President introduced what we call the annual conference and research allowance. People will agree with me, and as I posited at the 6-month celebration all the way in Hungary last year, I made it clear that a Ghana Beyond Aid will be meaningless unless it was linked up with great researches into those areas that will get us beyond aid. The example of Malaysia is very clear. It was just one crop that great researches were made into it, and it turned everything around for them. Now, His Excellency, being aware of this, introduced what we call the annual conference and research allowance to support postgraduate or doctoral or PhD studies. What it means that anybody who is engaged in the PhD world or the doctoral world will know that it takes a lot to do good research. It's not 3,000 Ghana cedis, $3,000 to do a very good research. You have to be able to do publications into high impact journals. You have to be able to do researches that will give a nationwide benefit. So we have introduced the annual research and conference allowance, and to date we have had 2 applications from Hungary, which has been sorted out. We have had 1 from China. We have had 3 from Czech Republic. We have had 1 from Cuba, and we have had 3 from the UK. It means that scholars out there, viewers out there who are scholars, as it was routed through the mission, the diplomatic channel, you are aware of this initiative. We will entreat you to apply, because by end of March, if you have not received your application for this funding, that will be it for this academic year, because you know the academic year will end around May, June, and the new one will start in September. Now, to the almighty online application for scholarships. This is what I really, really, really want to dove my heart out to His Excellency the President. As I indicated early, in 2018, the scholarships were at the regional level. In 2019, it got to the district level. So it was good in 2018, it was better in 2019, and it's going to get best 2020 and beyond. Online application. Now, every Ghanaian who is desirous of having access to scholarship will not need to come to our place physically. Whether you are living in a madhouse, whether you are living somewhere, anywhere in Ghana, so far as you have a smartphone or you have access to internet, your scholarship is closer to you. This is what I call scholarship gets closer. And it's in great fulfillment in one of the key pillars of the SDG Goal 4, which is accessibility. Now, we know all scholars or people who are desirous of having undergraduate studies or postgraduate studies locally here, most of them, maybe 8 out of 10, will have access to a mobile phone. Therefore, your scholarship application is now in your hands. Now, this is how it works. Anywhere that you live, you just have to log on, and the window will be opened next month. When you log on, you go through the registration process. A few questionnaires will be asked. Key features include who the guarantors are and stuff like that. Biodata is assessed. You go through the application process. When your application is successful, you will receive a notification, either through an email or an SMS will be sent to you that your application is successful. So let's take a critical case of, let's say, a person by name Shamo. Shamo, who lives in Tabia, applies online. His application, in terms of every questionnaire that is asked, and it usually takes, with the system as we have tried it, it shouldn't take you more than 7 minutes to be able to do the application. So when the application is successful, an SMS is sent to Shamo, who lives in Tabia. The SMS will notify Shamo that the application is successful. Therefore, proceed within 2 weeks to do an online aptitude test. An online aptitude test is given to you with a pass mark of 70%. When you've attained that pass mark, another SMS will be given to you indicating to you a scheduled interview date with the district that you selected in your application process. Once you appear before the district scholarship review committee, which last year was made up of 5 members as I explained, but 2 additional members will be added, which includes the member of parliament for that district or constituency, and another more person to be appointed by the scholarship secretariat. If Shamo appears before the district scholarship review committee in, let's say, Ebuakwa South, if Shamo is going to be interviewed by a 7-member panel, each of them scoring Shamo over 20. Now, all panelists have a palm tech in their hands. As soon as they score, maybe panel Grace, panel Richard, panel Kingsley, panel Issa, panel Seto, panel Hansen, 7 of us will score Shamo, all over 20. I score Shamo 9 over 20, other people score different marks. Immediately, Shamo is done. Whatever they score will hit the national database. So Shamo's average or aggregate will be calculated automatically. So automatically, let's say Shamo scores 12.5 over 20. That hits the national database. This assignment will be done in all the 260 districts, political districts of the country. Now, when this exercise is completed, now we are going to rank. And for this year, I'm happy to announce to our viewers that His Excellency the President has increased the allocation which he gave for the local scholarship, which is the scholarship package for the payment of tuition or academic facility user fee for both all institutions, all post-secondary school institutions accredited by the National Accreditation Board, whether private or public. His Excellency has increased it from 30 million to a whopping 70 million. It means that more Ghanaians through this system are going to be captured, are going to have their tuition or academic facility user fee paid for them. So we're going to rank all applicants who were successful or who appeared to the various district scholarship review committees. And we will rank, let's say, from the highest. So the utilization of the funds is from the highest. As soon as we rank, let's say, up to the 85,000 person, and the allocation of 70 million gets exhausted, it cuts there. That will be the cutoff point. What this means is that there's going to be more transparency, there's going to be more accessibility, and the confidence that Ghanaians will have is going to be very, 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 very enormous. So this is all that has to do with the online application. We started the stakeholder engagement. Our engagement point includes all the DCs of the country, all the regional ministers, and from next week we are hitting the regions. We are going to train them on the software and increase promotions to make sure that everybody hears about this, because whether you were previously funded by us, you still have to go through this application process. So all the RCCs, all the MMDCs will be trained. The minority caucus in parliament will be trained. The majority will be trained. Traditional authorities will be informed about it. The various national youth wings. We've written to the national youth organizer of the New Patriotic Party, who has responded. We've written to the national youth organizer of the NDC, who is yet to respond. Everybody that matters in the educational enclave will be informed, or is being informed about this initiative, to ensure that we have more people apply. We, as a secretariat, have enjoyed a lot of feat, and there's been a lot of partnerships with a lot of state agencies. I remember the seamless integration of the 250 Cuban doctors that His Excellency the former President Mahama spent 96,000 on, together with the Ghana Medical and Dental Council and the Ministry of Health. We brought them back to Ghana. They are doing their various attachments with the various health facilities in Ghana. And very soon, the first batch will be writing their licensing exams. It's also instructive to announce to you that His Excellency the President has paid for all of them the licensing fee of $770 per student. He's paid for them free. So in collaboration with the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, last year we sent 200 Ghanaians to Cuba to study. So in the next 2 minutes, I'll be done very soon. And then we have an education office at the Ghana High Commission in the UK has been revived. I mean, an office or an office that was almost abandoned. And I remember very well that the report that came from that particular office, from the person who was exiting before a new person sent there, his recommendation included us closing that office. I'm happy to announce to you that, led by the indefatigable Efua Jesiwa Gezi, the office has been revived. Students in the UK are being sorted out. Their welfare issues are okay. Their passports, any kind of assistance that students need is being sorted. As I speak with it now, there's a great discussion with which has gone very far with the Ghana mission in Germany, Berlin. And I want to thank Her Excellency Gina Blay for the support that she and her team has given the Secretariat so far. We are engaging somebody temporary to take care of the welfare needs of the 26 or so Schengen countries in Europe, so that the same success that we have been able to chalk in the UK will have the same thing done in the Schengen areas. Thank you very much. And on this celestial rendition, I wish to wish all of our viewers a happy Vars Day. May God bless our homeland, Ghana. So I'll be taking questions. One of the questions that has just come to me is that we have just had a technical hitch. I want to take your queries. What is it about? Okay, I hear somebody is asking. Let me get the names of the people. It's asking about Cuba. Cuba, as I alluded to, for this year, last year 200 Ghanaians had the opportunity of going to Cuba to study medicine. This year, the deal that was brokered by His Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic, will ensure that 100 more Ghanaians will be going from the Zongos and deprived communities. What it means is that I think we are done with the process. They've been shortlisted, they've been interviewed, their passports are now with the Cuban authorities, and I hope that per our timelines, by the end of this month, 100 Ghanaians will have the opportunity of being trained as medical doctors in Cuba. So I'm addressing your various queries. Bear with me, a few technical hitches. I thought you were writing them down for me. Okay, Berima Kwajo Keita says that he's studying in Russia. Send letters to the Secretariat. Okay, we have 7 students in Russia now studying directly at PhD in nuclear sciences or nuclear energy. We are committed to ensuring that we have as more students or more scholars in this STEM-related or this emerging area. So, Kwejo, your write-ups to us, we have seen. Let's keep engaging with us, and we'll deal with you. We'll deal with your issue when we have to. I thought you were writing them down. Okay, so bear with me. I'm just trying to answer your queries. There's. Okay. So, is it Zakanani or Maria? Says that he's from Sanerigu Municipal in the northern region, a student of UCC, and he's looking out for the district level scholarship. What I would say is that for the district level scholarship, we have paid 98% of applicants that were successful. If you haven't heard from the Scholarship Secretariat, I think you have to liaise with your district assembly to give you the status of your application. I can say on authority that 98% or so, which of the about 28,000 or so Ghanaians who had the opportunity to, or who were successful, have been paid at their various tertiary institutions. Ohineba is asking about the NVTIs. I've explained enormously that apart from the interventions that we gave, next month, a whooping 200 Ghanaians in the field of NVTI. And I want to mention to you the various fields. So this was the commercial that went out. The Scholars Cathedral, in collaboration with NVTI, invites applications from qualified persons to train in 2 to 3 month course in the following areas. We'll be training people in AutoCAD, draftsmanship, general electrician, aluminum fabrication, paneling, sealing, pottery, painting technician, tile layout, granite cutting or polisher, plumbing and sanitary technician, health and safety, hospitality, fashion design. So this is an opportunity for all who are within the NVTI or the TVET enclave to apply directly with their CVs to the Executive Director, National Vocational Training Institute, P.O. Box MB 21, Accra. So it's an opportunity, and this has been published. Halitu Inusa says, good morning, sir. I'm humbled to inform you that some of us cannot access the payment. So we like if any system, any new system, whatever, I'm saying to you that 98% of you have been paid. So liaise with your student portals. And we've also seen that most of you don't go on your student portal. For schools that or institutions that have their student portals, as soon as the amounts are credited, they get a notification. The universities face a challenge. Some of the universities face a challenge in terms of crediting the student account. You can go to your university accounts office or finance office, and once you were awarded a scholarship and you received your award letter from your district, go there with it, and I'm saying to you, your money or your fees has been paid. We have even started a reconciliation exercise with the various universities to address challenges that came with the payment of tuition. Okay, so I see on the screen from Nana Kwame. Nana Kwame is asking, please, when will the date for Stipendium Harigarikum Scholarship nomination and when applications should await for nomination? Nana Kwame, students, applicants at the undergrad and PhD who applied to the Hungarian scholarship, they've been interviewed. As I speak with you now, there's an interview going on. It started on Wednesday for those at the master's level. We have a deadline up to the end of the month to file a nomination or eligible candidates with our partners in Budapest. What's the name? The Stephen what's the name? Another name? Tempus Foundation, to file with Tempus Foundation. So by the 28th, this year is a leap year. By the 28th or the 29th of this month, eligible or qualified or suitable Ghanaians who have gone through all the process will be nominated and filed with the Tempus Foundation. I think I've answered Zacharianian's post. Zacharianian Umaria. I think I've responded. If I can get to the next person. This Tahiru Ayuba. Good morning, Honorable. My name is Tahiru, studying in Hungary. I have 2 questions for you. Please, is there any arrangement being made for students studying abroad to do their national service? I also want to know if the Secretariat is making arrangements for students studying abroad to register for the new voter register and Ghana card. Okay, for the national service, you always have a relationship with the National Service National Service Scheme, where graduating students, we take your bio data and any information that we need to have, and we send them to you. We send them to the National Service Scheme. And over the years, for the past 3 years or so, we've been doing that with touch. Again, on the issue of the voter registration, we've written to the Electoral Commission. I think our letter went to them about 2 to 3 weeks ago, asking them to allow Ghanaian students, especially those on the Government of Ghana scholarship, because there are thousands of you out there. We have the database, so we've appealed to the Electoral Commission to let us know what they have for you. We inform you immediately, they get back to us. But it's my firm belief that you guys will not be defranchised because you are more or less workers at a foreign mission. Again, I'm having a question from Muazu Tagra Omar. Will the Scholarship Secretariat extend this year's scholarship to the district level again? Obviously, absolutely. We are committed to it. If you listen very carefully to my online application process, at the end of the day, it will end up at the district level. So we are doing it, and we are doing it at the district, and we're going to do it even better than what we did last year. Berima Kwejoketa. I think I've answered Berima Carter's query for the nuclear energy. Can I have the next? I've answered Berima already. The next is coming from Fortune Alimi. The 100 additional students to Cuba, who is paying for them? Are they benefit from the GMPC package? No, they are not benefit from GMPC package. It's straight from the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat. Joseph Boatin, sorry, just joined. How does somebody who is in the district in Denchira apply for postgraduate scholarship? I mean, you have to go on to the online application process that I shared with you. This Appiaje Junior, when is the scholarship starting? The call will open from mid-April, and we'll announce or we'll promote it to you. Okay, so I think I'll thank once again my boss, Madam Chief of Staff, under whom I serve, and by extension, His Excellency the President of the Republic, for making this the once defunct Secretariat become a world-class awarding institution. I'll thank the crew that came from the Office of the President. I thank our protocol officer, Madam Grace Aferimensa. I used to call her Nanaya, so I'm not so used to her official name. I used to thank my Chief Accountant for protecting the purse, Mr. Richard Edu, my Deputy Director in charge of administration, Mr. Joseph Issa, and hardworking the National Coordinator for the National Decentralization Program. Other questions will be answered in due course, and I wish to apologize for my inability to answer to most of the queries that come to my inbox. The task is very daunting, but I'll try to do better in terms of private queries that come. For all queries about scholarships, the website. For all queries about scholarships, please log on to our interactive website, www.Ghana. Ghana is written in full as GHANA, Ghana Scholarships in full, scholarshipsecretariat.com, and all queries will be answered. I thank you, and I wish you a very good vast day. Have fun, but don't do what I will not do. God bless our homeland, Ghana. Thank you. The call will open from mid.
Edika, inabeka, miaro, endo, miaro, Ejumeidia, inabeye, miaro, endo, miaro, obrei, inabebo, miaro, endo, miaro, Asemi besini fenwa miaro, asemi miaro, asemi besini fenwa miaro, Ejumei besini fenwa miaro, obrei besini fenwa miaro, endo miaro, asemi besini fenwa miaro. Asemi miara, sina lekasini tuna beya, sina lekasini tuna beya, obrei besini